are starting with the economic activities around us. So in this previous chapter, we have studied about the kinds of activities, that is economic activities and non-economic activities. Now we'll study about economic activities. The root of prosperity is economic activity. The lack of it brings material pain, and the absence of fruitful economic activity endangers both current prosperity and future growth. This is said in the Kautilya's Ardhashastra. Kautilya is later known as Chanakya. So, economic activity is very important for the functioning of any nation. So, both economic and non-economic activities are important. But non-economic is based on love, respect, and gratitude, while economic activity is the one which is done for the living or the survival of a person. So, in this chapter, we'll be answering three main questions. That is, what are economic activities, how are they classified, and what is the difference these groups to be grouped into different sectors, how are they actually grouped, and how are the three sectors interconnected. So the economic activities are divided into three groups, and there is an interconnectedness between all the three. And first we'll study about what are those three, how do we classify them, and what is the interconnectedness between these activities. So in chapter 13, we learned about two types of activities, economic and non-economic. So activities that create monetary value, that is value of something that can be measured in terms of money, are called economic activities. And we also learned about the importance of non-economic activities. So to understand these activities better, we'll learn how the economic activities are classified and how do we actually classify them into various groups. So over the decades, the number of economic activities has increased tremendously in the sense rapidly. For example, earlier most people were involved in activities such as agriculture, livestock rearing, production of tools, pottery, and weaving cloth. With the changing in time, even the activities also have changed. As societies progressed, the number of economic activities through which people can earn the money, earn their livelihoods has increased vastly. So today, there are diverse economic activities such as manufacturing computers, mobile phones, and drones, working in banks, schools, hotels, driving various types of vehicles for transportation, making furniture, tailoring clothes using machines, creating software, repairing refrigerators, washing machines, etc. So classifying all these activities helps us to understand how they function and the links they have with one another. So the classification of economic activities into economic sectors. So sector in the sense the broad groups that include various activities that help in the economic prosperity of the nation. Some economic activities share similar characteristics and are based on this. They can be grouped together or classified into broader groups, that is the economic sectors. So the economic activities variously, there may be many in hundreds, but they are classified into sectors, so they can be broadly classified for our convenience. So the three main types of economic sectors are the primary, secondary, and the tertiary economic sectors. We'll be starting with primary activities. So these economic activities in which people are directly dependent on nature to produce goods are called the primary activities or the primary sector economic activities. So in the primary activities, people are directly dependent on nature. So basically we have three: primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. We have studied that primary sector is directly dependent on nature. So they include agriculture, mining, fishing, rearing livestock, forestry. So these are directly dependent on nature. So primary activities include cultivation of grains and vegetables from agricultural farms, collecting wood from forests, extracting coal from mines, fish from fisheries, eggs from poultry farms are all the primary sector economic activities. So, the most common primary activities are agriculture, mining, fishing, raising livestock, and forestry. So, below are some of the activities within the primary sector. So, these are all involved in primary sector economic activities. Next, moving to the secondary activities. So, the economic activities in which people are dependent on the outputs of the primary sector and transform them to produce goods are known as secondary activities or secondary sector economic activities. So, the primary is that they are directly dependent on nature, while secondary activities, that means they are dependent on the produce of the primary activity and they transform them into useful products. So the secondary sectors includes the construction of buildings and roads. So what the material is required for building the roads is coming due to the primary activity and providing utilities like water, electricity, gas and other such necessities. It also includes the manufacturing of products in factories and production units to process raw materials from primary sector into some other form that can be further sold or consumed. So some examples of secondary sector activities include the processing of grains obtained from agricultural field to make flour in the mills and the extraction of oil from groundnut and processing of tea leaves to derive tea. Similarly, wood from the forest is converted into furniture and paper and the cotton is used to make clothes and steel from iron ore to make automobiles like cars and trucks. So it is simple to remember. Primary activity in the sense it is dependent on nature. Example is agriculture. Suppose we get some grains from this agriculture. So they are used in the secondary activities. So secondary activity depends on the produce of the primary activity. And these grains are further manufactured or they are molded according to the requirements of the people, either in the form of powder or they can be made into flours or something like that so that people can utilize them. So that this is the functioning of the secondary activities. Now, moving to the tertiary activities. So, all those economic activities that provide support to the people involved in the primary and secondary activities are called the tertiary activities or tertiary sector economic activities. So, they provide help to the primary and secondary activities. So, these include services that we may not be able to see but which still play a very important role. So they are not actually seen more prominently but they play a very vital role. For example, the driver of the truck supports or transports the grains and vegetables from the farm to the factory or the market. So this comes under the tertiary activities, transportation. So the fruits or vegetable vendors sell the farm produce to household consumers. Similarly, doctors, nurses, teachers, lawyers, pilots provide their services to those who need them. So these all come under tertiary activities. So they are technicians who repair and service electronic items including mobile phones, televisions, mechanics who repair vehicles like cars, tractors and electricians who ensure regular supply of electricity. So their services make our life much more easier. Similarly, communication services through mobile, internet, software development, and services at hotels, restaurants, banks, schools, hospitals, airports, shops, warehouses, etc. are all examples of the tertiary sector economic activities. So, this sector is known as the service sector. So, the tertiary sector is known as the service sector because they provide a lot of services to people, and without them, it would be very difficult because even though we can't primarily or prominently see them, but they play a very vital role in our lives. So moving on to the interdependence among the sectors. So we already read that we have primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector and what are their roles. Now we'll understand the interdependence among the sectors. So the three types of economic sectors, the economic sectors or economic activities play an important role in the process of conversion of the natural raw materials into finished products for the final consumption. So let us go on an imaginary excursion to a village in Anand, the district of Gujarat, to study an interesting example where we will understand how the three sectors are interconnected and they support each other. So there is a dairy cooperative from farm to plate. So these days, farmers in Gujarat greet the day with the clinking of milk piles and the happy moos of their best friends, their cows or buffaloes. So cows have a special place in the lives of farmers and their families. The farmers milk the cows and send their milk to the dairy nearby. So they milk the cows and sell their milk to the dairy. So here we can see that farmers actually are in the primary sector, and at the end of the month they get paid for the milk based on the quantity and quality. However, this was not about the case 50 years ago. So this is the amazing story of milk cooperative named Anand Milk Union Limited, which is Amul, which we now call as Amul, AMUL. So in the early 1940s, farmers in this particular place would sell milk to the neighboring villages. So previously they used to sell the milk to the neighboring villages, but now they are selling it to Amul. And they could have to cycle or walk to the nearby villages to sell the milk under such great heat. So as you know that milk spoils or curdles very fast in hot weather, and the farmers had to sell milk quickly even before it could spoil. So this was a lot of effort for the small amount of money they would earn. They have to work a lot, and they're dependent on people called the middlemen because they can't go far away places quickly. So they're dependent on middlemen who could buy the milk in bulk at very less prices from the farmers and sell it in the market. So many times the farmers felt cheated and harassed by the middlemen. So one day the farmers collectively approached Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, a prominent national leader, with their problems. He advised them to form a cooperative to become independent and stop relying on the middlemen. So when the farmers collectively approached the great Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, who is a prominent national leader then he advised them to set up a cooperative to become independent and stop relying on the middlemen. So as a cooperative, the farmers could be able to milk a group and taking care of the entire cooperation of milk collection, processing and their supply themselves. So farmers took Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel's advice, and then Amul was set up in 1946 under the leadership of Tribhuvan Das Patel, who was a lawyer and a freedom fighter, and also Dr. Varghese Kurian, who is an engineer who works at the dairy factory in Mumbai back then. So Amul was set up in the year 1946 under the leadership of these two prominent people on the advice of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. So this initiative brought farmers, including women, together and gave them control of the production and sale of the milk. So the milk producers collectively made their own things on their matters such as production, pasteurization, and the sale of the milk. Pasteurization is the process by which milk is preserved through heating to a specific temperature to kill harmful bacteria. So this was done by scientist Pasteur. The pasteurization was invented or discovered by Louis Pasteur. So the tasks were shared by everyone, which helped raise their income gradually. They did not need the middlemen anymore and became one big family, like a community. So as more and more farmers began to see the benefits of the cooperative, it continued to grow, and the quality of milk that was being collected was so huge. So they had such great quantities of milk that the farmers had thought to make other products out of it. They set up a factory in their place, Anand, and began to produce butter and milk powder as well. So initially they started with milk, and then they have seen such huge quantity of milk, and they thought of making butter and milk powder as well by setting up a factory. So now, in the present time, the cooperative had a wide range of products made at many processing plants and factories all over India. Basically, they started in Anand and now it has spread all over India. So the products are then transported and sold in both small and large retail shops all over the country. In fact, they also export the products to several countries around the world. So, in this fascinating story, the farmers of this cooperative milk their cows to sell the milk later. So, this kind of economic activity is called a primary sector economic activity because the product is directly coming from the natural source. So, the farmers involved are involved in primary sector. So, this whole thing comes under the primary sector. So, the milk is then processed from one form into another in the form of milk powder, ghee, cheese, butter, in which it is consumable to the consumers. So this economic activity is called secondary. So when the milk, which is a natural produce from the primary sector, is converted into ghee, cheese, then it comes under secondary sector's work. And then what does Amul do with all the products it makes? It sells them to various places by transporting them. So Amul uses lorries, trucks as well as railway, air and shipping services to transport its products. So it has set up retail stores, supplies milk and milk products to other shops in towns, cities and villages all over Gujarat and even to various states and even abroad. So here transportation and trading retail is a tertiary activity. So with this case study we can understand the interconnectedness between primary, secondary and tertiary sectors. So just like Amul, there are many other milk cooperatives under brands such as Nandini from Karnataka, Mother Dairy which is in Delhi, Avin from Tamil Nadu, Vijaya from Andhra Pradesh, Kevi from Nagaland, Sudha from Bihar, Varka from Punjab and many more. So first Amul was started and after that even there are many more milk cooperatives in India. So with the help of the images, let us see how the books you study are made. So first there is wood and then there is a collection of wood and the transport of wood to the factories and there we prepare the required products, that is the paper. Then it is sent to the printing press and then the book is made and it is available in the stores. So none of the activities that were part of the process from extracting pulp from the trees to making paper, finally producing the books could have been possible had it not been that all the three sectors would be working together. Because primarily, first it starts with the primary sector, that is wood comes from there and then the transport work is done by tertiary sector and again the secondary sector works on it in producing the books and then transporting it to the stores and selling it. So all the three sectors will combine for a book to come. So these days used paper is recycled to make new paper. So recycling just 1 ton of paper saves 17 trees as well as 2.5 cube meters of landfill space where waste is dumped. It also takes 70% less energy and water to recycle paper than to make new paper from the wood pulp. So with this we understood all the three sectors in detail and the interconnectedness between them, and we also studied a case study on Amul. So in this chapter we learned about three sectors. The various examples and illustrations helped us to understand the difference as well as the interdependence between the three types of economic sectors or activities, that is the primary, secondary and the tertiary.